Ujjwal Trivedi. I'm Senior Director of Products at Move and Sync and a Director at Headstart. And welcome to the Startup Hour. We are with Aayush today, who's been a friend for last 6-7 years, and we have been talking and working on a lot of cool stuff. Ayush has done a bunch of cool things, ranging from his work uh, in at Airtel and Freecharge. He's done a bunch of cool stuff in advertisement tech and healthcare and now food. So, Ayush, I would first quickly want you to introduce yourself to people. And once your introduction is done, then we will like to understand a little more about Foodieverse. So I'll come to that, and then we will get on with the other things in the discussion.
Right. Hi, my name is Aayush Mazumdar. As Ujjwal said, I know Ujjwal from quite a few years now. And the interesting thing is that every time I come on anything to do with Headstart, I first say that first time I came to Hyderabad, to Bangalore, one of the first things I did about startups is go to a Headstart event. And this was in Leela Palace, if I'm not wrong. This 7-8 years, I think more than that back. And that's how, I got to understand that this place has the vibe and the people to become what it is today, like about almost 7-8 years later, 10 years later. So on that note, so my name is Aayush. I have been in management and product and marketing for quite a few years. I've been founded twice. This is my second such company. I started my journey. I passed out IMT Ghaziabad when 12. From then I went to Aircel, Maxis Aircel, and then Airtel as internet product manager for the category, for the mobile internet category, which was back then something like 2 to 3%, and I saw for it to grow from 2 to 3% to about 20% in roughly 3 years. So we launched both 3G and 4G, and as part of those efforts, both at Airtel and Aircel. And I got to see that across the country, and that was an amazing time to understand for me how a very large entity or a very large product base works across a very geographically wide, very economically deep country like India. And that's something that I learned a lot from. From there, I was always interested in startups. I joined Freecharge for quite a little bit of time, Freecharge, and then little bit of Snapdeal in between as well. Then I moved on, did my own startup called Yapily. This was in social commerce space. We raised some money and we gave a lot of that money back to the investor, and that was a very interesting learning exercise for me. I was the third co-founder there and learned a lot from there. From then, moved on to Tech in Asia, heading marketing for India's division. Worked with very, very good editors and writers, a lot of whom you today know, and work at places like Mint and Financial Times and Reuters. Then I joined another company called Mera Events Now, and College Fever. I was the CMO for all the three products, was there for a year, and then started my current startup called Foodieverse, which I define as distribution first food tech, right? And that's my short introduction. Yeah, Ujjwal, all to you.
So very interesting, Ayush. And thank you for keeping the such an extensive experience and presenting it in such a brief time. You can do it. And by the way, some of you guys might think that there is a problem in your internet because Ayush sometimes it will be like racing, but he is 1.5x at source, right? He speaks very fast. So maybe you if you get this recording, you want to actually tone it down and say 0.75x, and that's how it will probably make a little more sense than for you if it is not legible. I'm used to it. It's been 7 or 8 years of listening to this, so I got
Yeah.
used to it. But yeah, it's 1.5x head sold. So it's not internet, it's not your internet, it's not your problem. It is just that he just speaks very fast. So Ayush, you've toyed with so many different ideas and some wonderful ideas that we have discussed in
Yeah.
past. How did you arrive at food? Like, what makes you think food is your way of making an impact in the world?
Before I say that answer, I'll do a small interjection. Yesterday, Walmart started delivering fried chicken globally, and this is the first time Walmart has done this. And people are asking why, and I'll circle back to this, right?
Right.
So why food and why at the time that I started, nobody was. I mean, people are starting food, but they were starting in a very different direction than I when we started. See, the logic of food is that food is in a physical format the most frequently bought e-commerce product that exists. So when a person first goes online and buys something, he's not going to buy a 100-inch TV. He's first going to buy food, right? When he goes online. And as India goes online from 10 million user base to 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, the first thing that they will do across geographies and economic split is going to be food, right? That's the first point of view. The second point of view is that unless you have frequency in e-commerce, it doesn't matter what e-commerce you're selling, it is not going to work out. The economics just doesn't work out. On top of that, there are pressures of developing markets. Developing markets, like let's say you could run 10 million happy business in US just by selling 100 products a month. In India, it's not possible. Just it doesn't work. You have to do in India. Volume is always going to be a barrier to scale. You can't run a successful venture funded business unless and until it is voluminous. It doesn't matter what the margin is, volume needs to exist. Otherwise, all stakeholders, both your users and investors and your, co-founders or team members, they will all suffer, which is not obvious from the top. But as you go deeper into the retail and e-commerce system, you will see this. So when we started, we factored in all these things and realized that if you have to do bottom-up e-commerce today, where do you start? And you have to start at food. There is no other alternative. And as we go to UPI and ONDC and more of these things, this will become more obvious. As they say, the future already exists. It is just not distributed evenly. So we believe that we are the feature that exists already.
All right. So tell us a little about how is it distributed right now? If it's not distributed evenly, what I mean to ask is, where are you providing services right now? Of course, you started with Bangalore, but tell us a little more about the state of Foodieverse and how is the team? What is the team right now? How does it look? What are your plans of expansion?
Right. So the team, let me first start the team. So the team is I've always, and as we have talked a lot about team building earlier as well, and I put disproportionate effort in team building, and I've done so even when I was not a founder, right? Just to be clear. So the thing is that I believe that diversity of intelligences, ideas, and experiences brings in better, outcomes. And I truly believe in that. So I'm very careful with the team that I sort of work with. So just to begin with, my co-founder is a PhD from IT Delhi, and he's a purely he's a scientist by all degrees, right? And he was a student professor and go to sciences, and I pulled him out, and I've known him since quite a few years now. So I pulled him out because I realized that if you want to do fundamentally life-changing work, you have to always marry science, technology, and economics. You can't go away from it. Because what people don't realize, ultimately, a lot of companies that we really like globally, if not just in India, it is becoming more obvious because of AI, is that it will require fundamental research. If you're not in fundamental research, you don't have a scientific moat, and that needs to be sort of accepted in some sense or term. So I knew him, and he has a mix of two things that are very unique, and you don't get it. Is scientific temperament, truly has scientific temperament, but the ability to execute that at scale, which is very rare. You either get very good ops people or very good science people. You don't get very good ops and science people. Those are the people, and a very good. I mean, I don't want to put it that way, but if you look at if you've seen the movie Oppenheimer, or people have seen the movie Oppenheimer, you have to understand that you need a mix of doers and thinkers. You can't have bifurcation. So he's very good at it. So he's called his name is Chaitanya, and he works with me. Then apart from him, there's a guy called Pavan. There's a guy called Samir. We have a guy called Bhaskar. So they come from different sects. We have team members from various segments of the market, from e-commerce, from banking, from insurance, ranging from B schools like I'm Bangalore to Bislani to I think University of California, University of to NIT Durgapur, NIT Jamshedpur, a lot of these people from various backgrounds. The idea being that they should all have had experiences that they themselves may not realize is helpful to building a bottom-up e-commerce, but it is, and that's the journey that they've been through with me. So it's a pretty diverse team, but it's a very small team. It's still under 10-ish people at the top and about 5 more people. So it's just about 15 people. And we started in Bangalore as he sort of said, but we quickly expanded to Hyderabad, and then we are now going deep in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 markets. Like in Vizag, we are in, let's say, we are going to be in Bijapur of all places. We're going to be in Belgaum. We're going to be in a place called Ongole, which most people on this, video have not heard of, is what I'm assuming. The reason is that if your business doesn't survive a place like Ongole, the reality is it's not going to scale. Like, you might think it's going to scale, but Kormangla on Indranagar and HSR, where you are talking from, or BTM, these are locations that are extremely bubble friendly, right? We talk in bubbles. Product managers talking to product managers, marketers talking to marketers. But that's not India. India is very, very deep. And when you look at companies that have done really well in India, you need to understand the fact that they have gone very, very deep. And they're not just talking to the 0.1%. It's not even 1%. It's literally 0.1% of the population. So startups can be, successful.
Early adopters of India are different from early adopters of Bharat.
Yes, they are. But when I say that they're different, their aspirations are not as different. The delivery mechanism is different. And when I say delivery, I'm talking about delivery of technology and delivery of economics, right? It's not delivery of food or delivery of lipstick, right? What is important is that the economics and technology that is required to deliver them at a EBITDA or a PAT profitable level is very even at scale, is very different from delivering something profitably in Kormangla or HSR or Indranagar, right? Because here you start neon jacket company, you will have 100 customers, like literally tomorrow, but that's not India, right? So, and you might agree, and you might have 10 people, 10 of them have similar income, similar school, similar parental backgrounds. So of course you have a product market fit in that particular cafe or the bar, but that's not product market fit. It's just fake product market fit.
Yeah, cool. Very important for probably some type of products, but not for a consumer product that you want to scale to, the whole of India. So,
Correct.
so for sure. Yeah, thanks for sharing some of these details with us. One interesting thing that I've found is that you have, about your co-founder is that he is a PhD in chemistry.
Yeah.
You want to throw some light on why that helps?
Yeah, so interesting. So I think all consumer goods are chemistry, and this is not obvious. It's obvious to founders after they start. But all consumer goods that you use, everything that you use around you is chemistry, right? So if you understand chemistry fundamentally, you can actually ascertain quality of a product at a much deeper level than most people would, right? That's point number one. Point number two is, and that's broadly true for all consumer goods across the board. The second level is all food is chemistry as well. When you cook food at your home, what you don't realize is that all food is chemistry. So when you're doing food at scale, you treat it as science, right? And you have to, whether it is science of the shastras or science of let's say of the Western Hemisphere, it is chemistry. Rasayan Vigyan is not necessarily just Indian. You just call it in different names, but it is still chemistry, right? So you need fundamental understanding of chemical compounds, whether they are natural or not, to understand how they come together under different circumstances and how to scale that. So it needs fundamental scientific understanding. In fact, there is
rasa involved, whether it is a rasayan or rasoi, correct?
Correct. So the point being that, and just be clear, here's the interesting bit. If you want to make food amazing, and yet you don't want to go towards, let's say, any artificial products, you have to be very good at understanding the core chemistry of the product.
Yes.
Because the easy answer is you just put additives and you print off. But that's not the answer the world wants. Neither do we want it. So you have to go very deep into technology to understand. And so some of this technology has to be built ground up. It can't be done by just buying something off the shelf. You can't do that. So yeah.
So, okay, one question that we've got the last section or last 5 minutes of our quick chat today. I wanted to talk about one of the biggest challenges that you have faced so far in your startup, and how are you trying to overcome that?
So one of the interesting challenges that I faced is that uh, we need to, and this is what most founders also need to sort of understand, that there has to be a structure and intentionality to money raising, right? You can't just raise money for the heck of raising money. That's a terrible answer, and it's no worse time to have this terrible answer than in 2023. So we're very intentional in most cases about raising money, and that Touchwood today has really benefited us because we have used all types of capital, but also understood the cost of capital in our sort of baseline understanding, right? If we don't understand cost of capital and how different types of capital and different types of capital holders, what ideal outcome they want and when do they want it, so how do you structure your company in that format, you will have issues, and so we sort of figured out that we need to be intentional about how we raise capital from, who do we do it, when do we do it, all of those things. Figuring out your baseline unit economics is very important. I don't think anybody should, I mean, there's just me, but in a lot of products, you should not probably raise too much money unless until your unit economics is clearly figured out. I believe that now. So there could be different approaches to that question, but yeah. So I think that is something that we have solved over time, and we understood what kind of capital is required for what kind of period, and so that's helped us. Geographical distribution is also something very important. We went through COVID and we are doing better than we were doing post pre-COVID, etc. Which takes a lot of thoughtful approach, because we could have not had this company had we not sailed through COVID, right? But COVID actually made us shift towards the right answer quicker, because it forced us to ask ourselves, if things are this way, how does the world look 5, 10, 15 years ahead, right? Because let's be honest, you don't know if there's a COVID 2029. I mean, I hope not, but there's no way to do that, right? So supply chain has to become much more robust. It has to be fundamentally scalable across the country and all those things. So we solved that as well over time.
Right. And you said that you've been a big proponent of spending disproportionate amount of time in building the team. What are couple of things that you can tell, like either mistakes that people do, or what do you think, some sort of secret mantras that you think that if you maybe basic stuff, but people that miss out on that, just take care of these 2, 3, 4 things, and your team will always be solid.
So one thing is that I was very lucky to understand the importance of team picking very early on, because I worked with very good companies at the beginning, where I myself was treated very well in all my first 3 companies, right? First 3, 4 companies that I sort of worked with, and that did change my overview. Both with so in to my understanding, there are some companies in India, very few, probably less than 10 in India, who take their HR as seriously as an Airtel would, or back in the day Freecharge would. All of that, right? And I was very lucky to sort of go through that. I realized that if you are not very clear and you don't have enough filters and you don't understand people's skill ability very well, it is going to create problems later on. So you should have multiple champions in the same vertical and across verticals, across geographies. You should have pipeline built for each level of leadership across the board. It should not be just 1 or 2 people at the top. There's a lady called Leela Nair. You can actually, she's on LinkedIn as well. And what she taught to people in HUL got transferred to Airtel, and then with Airtel it got transferred to every HR in Airtel, and then everybody else followed it. elsewhere as well. So what ends up happening is that you need to have people who can build companies at every layer. And if, God forbid, if the first layer crashes in an airplane, then how much time does it take for the next layer to come up and deliver the business, right?
Excellent, excellent
yeah.
thought. I think this is, this is just driving the point home. I think, thank you so much, Ayush, for sharing that and for all the other fun stuff that you've shared with us. All the best to you and to the Foodieverse.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you for spending time with us and to all the ladies and gentlemen who have been listening to this show so far. Thank you so much.